What if I told you that winning the lottery is not the golden ticket most people dream about, but one of the fastest ways to expose and destroy your life in spectacular fashion? A regular person wins tens or hundreds of millions overnight and suddenly believes every problem is solved forever. Then, in a surprisingly short time, most of them end up broke, divorced, depressed, addicted, or even dead. The brutal reason is that money does not fix stupidity, poor discipline, or toxic relationships. It simply amplifies them until they become unstoppable. Jack Whittaker from the USA is the perfect real-life example of this predictable disaster when he won $314 million in the Powerball in 2002. He was an ordinary successful businessman with a stable life before that single ticket flipped his world upside down. 4 years later, he had lost almost everything to a relentless wave of lawsuits, gambling, bad investments, and heartbreaking family tragedies. One of the most devastating blows was his granddaughter dying from a drug overdose after the sudden wealth opened doors to dangerous people and substances. Jack later admitted publicly that he wished he had never won the lottery because the money brought more pain than any joy could justify. The lottery did not ruin them, it just revealed who they really were when the brakes came off, and there was no limit left to hold them back. The sarcastic summary hits hard. Congrats, you won millions, now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. Classic human nature on full display, where the fantasy of instant riches meets the cold reality of human flaws. Most winners start by quitting their jobs because why work when you're suddenly set for life? They buy mansions, luxury cars, and toys they never imagined owning just months earlier. Then they lend money to friends and relatives who treat it like a gift that never needs repaying. Lifestyle inflation kicks in hard as they spend as if the fortune will last forever without any plan. Taxes take their massive cut right from the start, shrinking the pile faster than anyone expects. Lawsuits flood in from people claiming they deserve a share of the sudden windfall. Jack Whittaker faced exactly this pressure as opportunists lined up to take pieces of his $314 million prize. Gambling became his escape, and he poured millions into casinos chasing the same rush that won him the jackpot. Bad investments followed as he put money into businesses he barely understood and watched it vanish. Family relationships cracked under the weight of jealousy, entitlement, and constant demands for cash. The money acted like a spotlight shining on every weakness that was already hiding in plain sight. Jack Whittaker tried to give back to his community with donations and charity work, but the parasites never stopped coming. His granddaughter's overdose death became the ultimate tragedy that no amount of wealth could prevent or heal. He lived with security guards and armored cars because the fortune turned him into a target overnight. The intelligent reality here is that sudden wealth is a test most ordinary people are simply not equipped to pass. If you lacked discipline before, the money will make your impulses run wild without any guardrails. If your relationships were already toxic, the cash will pour fuel on those fires until they burn everything down. Jack Whittaker's story shows this pattern in raw, heartbreaking detail from the initial excitement to the final regret. He went from respected community figure to a broken man haunted by loss in just 4 short years. The lottery did not create his problems, it removed every normal limit that kept them in check before. This is why the tale of lottery winners who lost everything feels so darkly entertaining from a safe distance. We watch regular folks get handed a fortune and then witness them self-destruct in ways that feel almost inevitable. It is human nature stripped bare with no filters and no safety net to cushion the fall. The sarcastic truth keeps echoing, congrats, you won millions now. Watch how fast you can prove you were never ready for it. Most winners never speak out because the shame of losing it all is too heavy to share publicly. Jack Whittaker was brave enough to admit the money was the worst thing that ever happened to him. His family suffered the most as the wealth changed dynamics in ways no one could have predicted. Drugs, violence, and opportunists flooded into their lives once the barriers of normal life disappeared. The pattern repeats across decades and across every major lottery because people stayed predictably human. They overestimate their ability to handle new money because they never had to practice before. Jack Whittaker had security concerns and constant fear because everyone suddenly wanted a piece of his prize. His granddaughter became exposed to a world of excess that led directly to her tragic overdose. He tried to do good with charity, but the pressure from all sides eventually overwhelmed him completely. The money revealed every crack in his life and widened them until the foundation crumbled. This is the darkly entertaining part where fantasy crashes hard into the wall of reality. The lottery winners who lost everything prove that money is neutral, but people are not prepared. It amplifies whatever was already inside, good or bad, and in most cases, the bad wins the race. Jack Whittaker's journey from lucky winner to regretful survivor stands as a warning for anyone chasing that big win. He wished he could rewind to his pre-lottery days because the fortune brought chaos he could not control. Discipline and character matter far more than any lump sum that lands in your account overnight. Without them, even hundreds of millions can evaporate like morning dew under the sun. Jack Whittaker had the cash, but he lacked the daily habits needed to protect and grow it wisely. Most winners share the same blind spot. They chase big dreams without building a real plan first. They surround themselves with enablers instead of people who would challenge their worst impulses. The result is a rapid slide from riches to ruin that feels almost scripted in hindsight. The pattern is consistent because the psychology of sudden wealth has been studied for years. People believe they are different until the money removes every external constraint they once had. Jack Whittaker's family paid the highest price as relationships twisted under the weight of new money. His granddaughter's death was the final blow that no fortune could ever repair or undo. The intelligent takeaway is that true security comes from slow, steady habits, not from random luck. The lottery simply accelerates whatever flaws were waiting beneath the surface all along. Jack Whittaker faced lawsuits that drained his account, while gambling added even more losses. Bad investments followed as he trusted the wrong advisors with portions of his fortune. The sarcastic summary never gets old. Congrats, you won millions. Now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. Classic human nature on full display where hope meets hubris, and the crash is spectacular. Most winners quit jobs immediately because work feels pointless with millions sitting in the bank. They buy homes for relatives and fund lifestyles that no normal income could ever support. Taxes and legal bills chip away at the total while spending races ahead unchecked. Jack Whittaker dealt with constant demands and threats that turned his victory into a burden. Gambling offered temporary relief, but only deepened the financial hole he was digging. Family tragedies compounded the stress until the dream transformed into a daily nightmare. The money acted like a mirror, reflecting back every unaddressed issue in his life. The story reminds us that wealth without wisdom is just an invitation to chaos. Jack Whittaker publicly shared his regret, hoping others might learn from his painful experience. The lottery did not invent his weaknesses, it simply gave them unlimited room to grow. This is why these tales feel darkly entertaining, because we recognize ourselves in the mistakes. We like to believe we would handle it better, but history keeps proving otherwise. The intelligent reality is that preparation beats luck every single time in the long run. Jack Whittaker had the prize, but he lacked the tools to keep it safe over time. Most winners discover too late that money reveals character instead of building it. They chase excitement and forget the quiet discipline that built their lives before the win. The pattern repeats because human flaws are consistent across every culture and era. Jack Whittaker's case stands out as one of the clearest documented examples of this truth. He lost his granddaughter, his peace, and most of his fortune in rapid succession. The overdose tragedy highlighted how quickly excess can destroy what money cannot buy back. Lawsuits and bad choices stripped away the rest until almost nothing remained. The sarcastic truth lands with force. Congrats, you won millions. Now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. This is classic human nature on full display for anyone willing to pay attention. The story of lottery winners who lost everything is predictable because people are predictable. Jack Whittaker's journey offers a clear window into what happens when limits vanish overnight. Money amplifies everything, and in his case, it amplified the vulnerabilities he never saw coming. The intelligent lesson here is that discipline is the real currency that lasts beyond any jackpot. Without it, even the largest win becomes a temporary illusion that fades fast. Jack Whittaker tried to live generously, but the world around sudden wealth had other plans. His family paid the price as relationships strained and tragedies mounted one after another. The lottery revealed who they truly were when the brakes came off completely. This is why the narrative feels darkly entertaining, yet carries a serious warning underneath. We watch the fall and secretly wonder if we would fare any better in the same spot. The answer is usually no, because human nature does not change with a bank balance. Jack Whittaker wished he could return to his ordinary life before the ticket changed everything. His story proves that the lottery is often a mirror, not a magic wand for happiness. The money brought opportunities, but it also brought dangers no one was prepared to face. Lawsuits, gambling, and bad investments formed the perfect storm that sank his fortune. Family tragedies added the emotional weight that no amount of cash could lift. The sarcastic summary captures it perfectly. Congrats, you won millions. Now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. Classic human nature on full display in all its messy, unpredictable glory. The lottery winners who lost everything remind us that character is tested hardest when limits disappear. Jack Whittaker faced that test and the results were painful but honest in their clarity. Money does not fix flaws, it exposes them under a very bright and unforgiving light. This is the intelligent reality that every big winner eventually confronts the hard way. Discipline and boundaries are what keep life stable, no matter how much cash arrives. Jack Whittaker had the cash, but the boundaries were gone and the results followed. His granddaughter's overdose showed how quickly excess can spiral beyond control. The entire family felt the ripple effects of wealth without wisdom guiding the way. The story is darkly entertaining because it strips away the glamour of sudden riches. We see the human side of the fantasy, and it is rarely as pretty as advertised. The lottery did not ruin Jack Whittaker, it simply revealed the man he was when money removed every restraint. This pattern has repeated for decades because the core truth about people stays constant. Jack Whittaker's regret stands as a powerful reminder for anyone buying that next ticket. Money amplifies life, but it amplifies mistakes even faster when discipline is missing. The intelligent takeaway is to build habits first and let luck be the bonus, not the foundation. Without that order, the brakes come off and the crash becomes almost guaranteed. Jack Whittaker lived that truth and shared it so others might avoid the same path. His story is one of the clearest examples of how the lottery can turn dreams into regrets overnight. The sarcastic summary still rings true. Congrats, you won millions. Now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. Classic human nature on full display in its most honest and unfiltered form. The lottery winners who lost everything prove that wealth is a tool, not a cure for human imperfection. Jack Whittaker's 4-year journey from jackpot to near ruin shows this with painful clarity. Lawsuits, gambling, bad investments, and family loss formed the chain that pulled him down. His granddaughter's death was the final chapter in a book he never wanted to write. The money revealed who they really were when the brakes came off completely. This is why the tale remains darkly entertaining, yet carries a sobering lesson inside. We recognize the flaws because they live in all of us waiting for the right trigger. The intelligent reality is that preparation and character matter more than any random windfall. Jack Whittaker had the windfall, but the preparation was never there to protect it. Most winners learn this lesson the expensive way after the money has already vanished. The pattern is predictable because people are predictable when sudden wealth removes every limit. Jack Whittaker faced lawsuits that drained his resources while gambling added fuel to the fire. Bad investments followed as trust was placed in the wrong hands time after time. Family tragedies compounded the financial losses until the dream became unbearable. The sarcastic truth lands every time. Congrats, you won millions. Now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. This is classic human nature on full display for the world to see and learn from. The lottery winners who lost everything offer a mirror to anyone chasing that big win. Jack Whittaker looked in that mirror and wished he could turn back the clock. His story is a warning wrapped in the entertaining tragedy of sudden wealth gone wrong. Money amplifies everything, and without discipline, it amplifies the fall most of all. The intelligent lesson is to cultivate character long before any lottery ticket is bought. Jack Whittaker lived the opposite, and the results speak for themselves in painful detail. His granddaughter's overdose highlighted how fast excess can destroy what cash cannot replace. The entire experience left him broken, yet honest, about the true cost of his win. This is why the narrative of lottery winners who lost everything continues to captivate us. It reveals the raw side of human nature when the fantasy meets unfiltered reality. The lottery did not ruin Jack Whittaker, it simply removed the brakes and let his life accelerate. The crash that followed was spectacular and sadly all too predictable in hindsight. The sarcastic summary still fits perfectly. Congrats, you won millions. Now watch how fast you can destroy your life with it. Classic human nature on full display in its most honest and cautionary form. If this story about the lottery winners who lost everything hit you with that mix of dark entertainment and real insight, then smash that like button right now. Share this video with every friend who still dreams about that giant jackpot, because they need to hear the unfiltered truth. Let us keep exposing what they do not want you to see. I will catch you in the next one where we break down the next hidden chapter in the history of money and human nature. Until then, stay informed, stay skeptical, and remember that when the brakes come off, the crash is already on its way.